What's up YouTube? Dale here from Zephyr, and today, welcome to Genesys Wednesdays. Yeah, well, we're going to see if that sticks. Basically, what I want to try and do is that every Wednesday I bring you a Genesys deck profile. Today is going to be a profile that gets a bit of a buff, but also a bit of a points hit as well, post-burst protocol, and that is going to be Artmages. So Artmages got a brand new card in the form of the Artmage Non-Finito, which is like absolutely incredible for the strategy. Now, really annoyingly, on January the 29th, they did a points update, and this card went from 0 to 15, which is why there is no super polymerization in this deck. I actually had to take out super polymerization because this card's just that good. Now, this deck totals up to 100 points. There are some that I'll talk about as I go through it that have the point allocations, what you can take out, what you can change, and what you can kind of add around with depending on where you want to try and take the deck. So I'll take you through the main deck, take you through the extra deck, and of course I'll take you through the side deck as well, so you have a full understanding of exactly what you're going to be able to get in this deck by hitting those 100 points markers. I'll talk you through every single point allocation as well, so you kind of have a bit of an understanding of what ones you could adapt yourself, what you want to change out, and everything else in between. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With that out of the way, we're going to dive headfirst into the profile and show you exactly what we've got. Starting off with 3, Medius the Pure. Now this is like your core card that you're going to want to be going to. This is your normal summon. It has a 0 point allocation. Like, it's incredible, and you'll see this bridge from Doom Z to Elf Notes, and also in the future with the Power Patrons. So why is that? Well, because on normal or special, you get to add to your hand or special summon a Power Patron monster from the deck. And if this card is in the graveyard, you get to shuffle a monster from your hand or face up field into the deck. And if you do, special summon it, but you banish it when it leaves the field. So the Power Patron that this is going to get you direct access to is going to be your Artmage of Power Patron. So you can not special summon from the extra deck except fusion monsters, only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, you get a quick effect to fusion summon an Artmage fusion monster or a Nerva the Power Patron of Creation from the extra deck using this card you control and monsters from your hand or field. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the grave, you get to add an Artmage spell or trap directly from the deck with a different name from cards in your graveyard. So like, that's one of your consistency pieces. It's a fusion piece. It's just pretty much all round insane, which is why you want to try and get access to it through Medius the Pure. Then we've got 2 Litera. Now you can actually afford to cut this to 1 if you wanted to. That is entirely up to you. I quite like having 2 because it's never the end of the world if you do hard open them, because then you don't need to rely on the field spell as much. But if you wanted to kind of put this down to a 40 card deck, this is one of the cards you could cut down to 1. Now all of these so far have 0 points, which is beautiful. So the Litera gives you the ability to take no damage from battles involving this card. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you draw an Artmage card, you get to special on this card from the hand, and then you get to add an Artmage card from the graveyard back to the hand. During your opponent's main phase, you get a quick effect to special on an Artmage monster from the hand or grave non-target, except itself, and then return this card back to the hand. So the ideal strategy is that you never really want this to be in the graveyard, but what I like about having access to 2 copies is, if it does end up in the graveyard, it's not the end of the world. Then we've got 2 Glaflare. So this one is your dragon. As you can see, they're all different types. So the first time this card will be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. Only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you can draw an Artmage card, again, special on this card from the hand, and then set an Artmage spell directly from the deck. You can target one spell or track your opponent controls and destroy it, and it is a quick effect if you have 3 or more different monster types on your field, which already I've shown you a fairy in the form of the Medius the Pure. You've seen an illusion in form of the Power Patron, a spellcaster in Litera, a dragon in Glaflare, and then finally a warrior in the form of the Fin Mel. Now, the reason I've decided to bump Fin Mel up to 2, and massive shout out to Sierra on this one. So Sierra played this deck normally, not in just Genesys point allocations, during this week's sneak event. And I was like, oh, yo, the new card is insane with the Fin Mel, because the idea is that this one, it could be fusion summoned with using 2 Artmages, but it also has the ability to be special summoned from the extra deck by discarding a spell or trap card and tributing a level 7 or higher Artmage monster from the hand or field. Now, the only level 7 or higher that we currently have is the Fin Mel. So it's kind of why I wanted to play 2 of this. Again, you don't have to, but it's one of the ones that if you hard open it up, it means that you can eat an interaction to your field spell and still have plays to make. On top of that as well, Fin Mel's actually pretty good when it hits the field. So your opponent cannot target level 6 or lower Artmage monsters you control with card effects. Only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control an Artmage monster, an Artmage card, you special on this card from the hand, and then you get to draw a card. During the main phase, if you have 3 or more different monster types on the field, quick effect, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls, and until the end of this turn, their attack becomes half. So it's a very nice, like a negation blanket, and then also being able to reduce the attacks, make it very awkward for your opponent to kind of beat over monsters like this. Then what is like technically an honorary Artmage right now is Blazing Cartasia the Virtuous. So the reason this is technically like honorary Artmage is that it technically has that quick effect to help you fusion summon. But it's also another target that can be summoned off of the back of fusion deployment, as we do play, of course, the Grand Grignol, which lists Cartasia, but we also do play the Artmage Dictaros, which does specifically mention Medius the Pure. So playing fusion deployment is kind of a bit of a no-brainer. And you'll see that as I've made this build, I am in Genesys only focusing on fusion summoning. I don't plan to go any XYZ route, XYZ routes or anything else like that. So I'm actually quite happy just fusion locking myself, which is why I also play the Artmage movement pedigree that I'll talk about a little bit later on. Then you're going to want to play 3 of your... the first actual card to count points is Cartasia at 3 points, which is mad. The Artmage Academic Arcane Arts Apocalypse. Woohoo! What a word. So during the main phase, you get to normal summon a Medius the Pure in addition to your normal summon or set. Only gain the effect once per turn. You can discard a spell or trap card and declare an Artmage monster card that is different from those that among monsters you control and has not been declared this turn. Then you get to add that monster from the deck to the hand, and you cannot special summon from the rest of this turn except Artmage monsters, which is Medius the Pure or from the extra deck, which is absolutely fine because it's for the rest of the turn. I'm not really too worried about it because everything that is not going to be those, I'm either going to summon during my opponent's turn or I'm going to summon it before I lock myself down. And then we're playing 3 of the Artmage movement pedigree, 0 points on this one. You don't have to play this card. I quite like it because you'll see that I've built this deck, like naturally going first, this deck doesn't mind, and having more spells is absolutely fine to discard. It just means that your field spells are a little bit more consistent. And with Drown Lockbird being a lot more of a higher point allocation, you'll see a lot more people in Genesys not have that point allocation to be able to spend on them, which does free this up a little bit more. So this card is if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you get to special summon an Artmage monster from the deck in defensition, with a different name from the card you control. If it's sent to the graveyard to activate the effect of the field spell, you get to add an Artmage trap from the grave or banishment back to the hand. Only to each effect once per turn. You can't special summon from the extra deck for the turn you activate either of this card's effects, except fusions, which again is absolutely fine because I don't plan to summon anything else apart from fusions. Then we've got 3 of the Altercation. So you place an Artmage Academy directly from the deck into your deck or graveyard into your face-up field zone, or if you draw an Artmage Arts already, you get to add any Artmage card from the deck to the hand instead, except itself. And then when your Artmage monster is targeted for an attack, you get to banish this card from the grave, negate the attack, and then you can special summon a Medius the Pure from the hand. Only use each effect once per turn. And then for the penultimate Artmage spell card, we've got 2 Assaults. So when this card is activated, you get to add a Medius the Pure from the deck to the hand. You get to target a face-up monster you control, and if that face-up monster would be used as fusion material this turn, it can be treated as an Artmage monster. You can only use each of the effects once per turn, and if an Artmage field spell or Academy you control would be destroyed by card effect, you get to send this card you control to the grave instead. And then the final spell card is the Artmage Masterwork Succession, which is basically your quick effect fusion summon. So during the main phase, fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from the hand or field, including an Artmage monster. And if a card or cards is on the field zone, that monster gains 500 attack. During your main phase, you get to banish this card from the grave, target 3 Artmage cards with different names in the grave, shuffle them into the deck, only use each effect once per turn. So this is how you're going to be able to get into some of the generic fusion monsters. So looking at cards like a Magister Storozo technically, but the one you want to focus on is your Azamina Ilia Sylvia, because this just requires a light spellcaster, which is your Finmel, and then of course your Illusion Monster, which could also be your non-finito. So very easily done. And then the final Artmage card is the 1-Pack Awakening. So special summon an Artmage monster or a Medius the Pure from the deck. Rest of the turn after this activation of your cards and effects that include an effect of fusion summon, a fusion monster cannot be negated. Your opponent cannot activate card or effect when a monster is fusion summoned this way, and you can banish this card from the graveyard to then target an Artmage monster you control, return that monster to the hand or extra deck, and if you do, destroy a card your opponent controls. Only use 1 effect per turn. Moving on to the non-engine, so you'll see that I'm not like massively aggressive on this one, but you can make it more aggressive, more defensive, depending on how you want to. And this is where some of our remaining point allocations go. So the DD Crow, 0 point allocation, and the Ultimate Slayer in the main deck, 0 point allocation. So entirely up to you. I quite like the idea of having more spells because if I go first, these are just free discard fodder. And if I want to hold on to it, it gives me a bit of a clap back should I need to. Then cards that are going to allocate you some points. 3 Mulchomi Fuel losses at 7 points apiece. I don't think it's that bad of a inclusion. I don't think I really lost anything that those 21 points could use. Like, I couldn't use 2 Super Polymerizations because that's 26 points. You could consider Draco Tail Flame, which is something I really want for the side deck, but I decided to go, again, a bit more aggressive. Like, going first, I want to open up multiple spells and a starter, so I just get to kick off the back of the field spell. Going second, I want to have those abilities which you can't always guarantee when you're, rolling the dice, that if I end up going second, I've got Full Loss and I've got Slayer to fall back on. And then my side deck can then allow me to adapt and dictate depending on if I'm going first or second. And then the final cards, I've got 2 Mourner and 2 Ghost Ogre at 3 points apiece. But the idea behind these ones is just because Ghost Ogre can be a bit more of a surprise attack, and then the Mourner is kind of like a cheaper effect veiler. But if you wanted to get in the Draco Tail Flame, these are some of the cards you could look at cutting. The other card is Dark Hole that I've got in my side deck, and I'll explain that in 2 seconds. So that's it for the entire main deck. I really do like what Artmage can do, actually. They're really, really fun. Like I said, facing Sierra, I was like, oh, yo, that new card's crazy for this deck. And I really do like what they do. So before I go on to the side deck, let's go through the extra deck. This is where a lot of your points are going to come, and this is where the painful bit gets into it. So before the points update, I was like, happy days, I can play free Super Polymerization. After the points update, no bueno. So the non-finito went up from 0 points to 15 points, which is massively costly. But there's a reason a card like that goes up to that level of pointage, for the pure fact that you know it's going to be good. So this requires 2 Artmage monsters, and it must either be fusioned or specialed from the extra deck by discarding a spell or trap and tributing a level 7 or higher Artmage monster from the hand or field. Only special summon it once per turn, no matter which way you choose to do it. If it is special summoned, you get to set an Artmage spell or trap directly from the deck. And then once per turn during your opponent's turn, you get a quick effect to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control. So again, it's more access to get into your stuff, like your Sylvie. It's more access to get into the Dictarus, especially when you're able to kind of like summon cards back from the grave, bounce cards around, and do everything else you need to. Speaking of the Dictarus, so this requires Midestia Pure and an Artmage. You can target a monster on the field, change its battle position. When your opponent activates a card or effect on the field, if you have exactly 3 or more different monster types on the field, quick effect, you get to negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you get to special summon a Medistia Pure from the hand, deck, or banishment. And then the final one is the Nevera, the Power Patron of Creation. So this is like your game-ending boss monster. So this one requires 3 Artmage monsters, and it must be fusion summoned or special from the extra deck in defense position by treating 3 monsters with different types. Only special summon it once per turn. Once per turn, when a card or effect, while a card is in the field zone, and this card cannot be destroyed by card effect. And then once per turn, when you activate an Artmage monster's effect, quick effect, you get to make the activated effect become destroy all cards your opponent controls. So it's just like a very nice board wipe or field wipe, and then this just starts swinging in at 33, which is pretty crazy. Then for the generic cards, so we've got the Azaminia Ilia Sylvia. So the idea is you will fusion summon this, very easily done. Like in this deck, very, very easy. And then we've got the Grand Grignol. You'll actually summon this off of the back of your Cartasia. And then your Grand Grignol has some targets it can send. So you can send Garura if you want to draw. Obviously, this gets a little bit more consistent if you can fit Super Polarization in, but, give or take. The other targets it can send, but summon, is your Despian Proskydian. I actually really like this card. I think a lot of people undervalue it, but the fact that it can kind of like either DD Crow from your opponent's graveyard or just steal an extra deck monster from your opponent's graveyard is pretty powerful. Another card you can summon off the Grand Grignol, but also a card you can send off the Ultimate Slayer, is your Despian Lulu Walith. The benefit of something like that is that Lulu Walith's graveyard effect, if you summon it off of Grand Grignol, great. Negation and a bit of a boss monster. If you summon it off of the back, or send it off of the back of your Ultimate Slayer, you actually just get to summon out the Cartasia, and then that opens up the door for some fusion plays. Speaking of Cartasia, we do play the one Dotan, so obviously shout out to Distant Coda on this one. Like, I don't know if anyone else did Dotan before Distant Coda, but this card's like crazy good in this deck. So it requires a light monster and then 2 or more monsters except on the field or in the graveyard. So that's how Cartasia can help you make this. The fusion summon card cannot be destroyed by battle, as long as no monsters on the field or graveyard share an original name with any monster in your opponent's field or grave. Monster you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. You get to send from the hand, deck, or extra deck to the graveyard a monster with the same original name as a monster on your opponent's field or graveyard, and then target a monster on the field or graveyard and banish it. Now, that effect's going to become a little bit irrelevant, but at a 3k boss monster and a 2800 defender that then can't be destroyed by battles and card effects, it just makes it so incredibly difficult to get past. Other cards that you can very easily summon, you've got the Magic Fuse Torojo, so either fusion summon it, or you can use the Contact Fuse and then being able to return cards during the battle phase. You've got the one Magnum the Reliever, so a monster special summon from the extra deck and then a monster in the hand. Target a Polymerization spell or fusion spell in your graveyard, place that card on the bottom of the deck and then draw one card, so you get to recycle your fusion duplication. Nice. And then when another card or effect is activated, quick effect, you banish a Polymerization spell or a fusion spell from the graveyard, target a card on the field and destroy it. So again, fusion duplication. Easy fodder. And then the penultimate 2 cards are just Ultimate Slayer targets in the Aggregator and the Malong. Honestly, if you wanted to open up the extra deck a little bit more, you could get rid of the Malong as you already playing the Despian Lulu Walif. In doing so, that either opens up the door for more Super Polarized targets, but it can also open up the door, and I think I've moved it out of my extra deck already, but it can kind of open up the door for either a second Garura, but that's where Super Polarization comes into play, or just any other type of targets you want to be looking for. So that's it for the entire main deck. Of the point allocation on this one, you've got 15 per copy of Finito, which is crazy. You've got 20 on the Sylvie, and then the final one is 5. Like, I can't believe this is 5 points. On the Nerva, the Power Patron. Like, why is this 15? This at 20, I get, it's an Omni, but like this, why 15? 10, come on, 10. So just to kind of vent my frustration a little bit, I woke up this morning, I was like, right, cool, I know exactly what I want to build. I put the build together, and I was like, right, this is my Genesys points, great, I've got Super Polymerization in it and everything. I didn't check out the video that they had updated the points. I should have done that first. But as I was putting it on, there was no points allocated. I was like, okay, cool, great, this is well within the point limit. And then literally, as I finished my day, someone sent me a message saying, have you seen this video? And I was like, what? And I've looked at it. I was like, oh no, they gave 15 points. And then when I went to update my deck, it was like plus 15 points. I was like, right, well, I've got to find 27 points to get rid of. Anyway, I digress. Moving on to the side deck, free Lava Golem. Now, this could very easily be a Kaiju. This is something that I want to test out, and the reason that I want to test this out is because you can get an additional normal summon of Metis the Pure. You can also spam the field with all of the other Artmage cards that you can search off the back of the field spell. So I was like, if I really needed to, I could save my normal summon, and if I'm able to get Metis the Pure to the graveyard, I can just special summon Metis the Pure back from the graveyard rather than having to use my original normal summon for it. So Lava Golem to go clear off 2 monsters, it could be a bit of a pain in the backside to deal with, and then I can pick this apart as and when I need to. I thought it was kind of something worth trialing out as opposed to a Kaiju, but to each their own. Then I got 3 Skullmeister, 0 points. 3 Dark Hole. These are 3 points apiece, so technically these should probably be Draco Tail Flames. The reason I went with 3 Dark Hole, even though I've got Lava Golem, was I was like, okay, I want something to back up with Dark Rule No More. Now, the more and more I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be very, very rare. If I get Lava Golem and I Lava Golem my opponent, it's going to be very rare that I need a Dark Rule No More. It's also going to be very rare that if I see Dark Rule No More and Lava Golem, that I'm going to want a Dark Rule No More and then Lava Golem. Like, the two of them don't really... It's basically just doubling up your ability to go second. The only benefit of Dark Rule No More is the fact that it's a spell card that just go, cool, discard, and off I go, utilising the field spell. So I could very easily find space for Draco Tail Flame in here. Now, the issue with the Draco Tail Flame is it's 3 points apiece, as is Dark Hole. I wouldn't want to lose all Dark Holes, because I do quite like the idea of either going Lava Golem, Dark Hole, or Dark Rule No More and Dark Hole, and kind of clear fields off. But, and again, the other benefit of that one is Dark Hole is a spell card. With Draco Tail Flame, I still don't think it's that bad. It's a bit of a shame it can't target itself, but then also I fully understand it, because if it could target itself, that'd be nasty. So, I don't know. I quite like the idea of maybe playing Twin Twister in the next spot that I'm about to show you, but I could very easily see myself cutting... I mean, it's finding the points allocation. Like, do I afford to cut 2 Mourners and 1 Dark Rule No More to then... no, it'd have to be 2 Mourners just to get two Mourners and a Dark Hole to get 3 Draco Tail Flames in. Like, that's something I still need to get my head around and figure out if that's the route I want to go. And then the final card is 3 Cosmic Cyclone. I feel that if I'm playing multiple cards that I don't mind being discarded, like Metis the Pure, then Twin Twisters might be a little bit better, but I still think Cosmic Cyclone puts in a lot of work. You can pretty much choose any of the Spell and Trap Row destruction cards that you want to, like Mystical Space Typhoon, Cosmic Cyclone, or Twin Twisters. Obviously, you're probably going to lean a little bit more towards Twin Twisters or Cosmic Cyclone, depending on which one benefits your particular build and your particular playstyle the most. And that is that for Genesys Wednesdays. If this kicks off, massive shout out to Nick. If it doesn't kick off, damn you, Nick, for getting this stuck in my head. If he's watching my video, at least I've given him the shout out of it. I was just trying to think of like what day could I put Genesys content on. Like I wanted to make Genesys like a weekly thing, and I was like, Monday Genesys doesn't really work. Tuesday Genesys or Genesys Tuesdays doesn't really work. And then I was like, Genesys Wednesdays, and he went, what about Genesys Wednesdays? I was like, I mean, it probably has a better ring to it. I don't know. You guys will have to let me know in the comments down below whether you think Genesys Wednesdays works or Wednesday Genesys. Maybe it's just Wednesday Genesys or Genesys Wednesdays. It's probably better, right? Genesys Wednesdays. Anyway, I do massively digress. That is it for the Artmage deck. I'm actually really excited to give this a run out now. Like I said, Sierra played it, and also massive shout out to Rijard as well. So Rijard was also playing this deck before the new support. And I knew what Artmages do. I've played Artmages before. I was like, these are kind of cool, but they're still missing this little piece. Now, they do get more support in the future, but that's neither here nor there. And then Non Finito came out, and Sierra played it. And I'd never faced against Non Finito. And then they started off by making Non Finito straight away. And I was like, what? You just tribute, like, discard a spell and Thin Mail in the hand? I was like, what? And then you get direct access. You basically replace the spell you discard because you then get direct access to any Artmage cards you need. And then from that point on, the deck can kind of very easily snowball. So I like this. I do like the whole Medister Pure lore that we've got going on. It reminds me of Cash Terrors. It also heavily reminds me of the branded kind of lore as well. But I like how Medius is like the centerpiece, and then it's starting to branch out. You had fusions with Artmages, you got Xyzs with Doomsdays, we've got Synchros with the Elven Notes, we get Pendulums with the Power Patrons. I don't know if there's a ritual yet. Maybe we will see a ritual, but yeah. I like it. I think it's really good. I think it's one of the better decks in Genesys as well. And it's not that crazy to kind of put together. And if you've already got Artmages, it's one of the ones that you can play very easily in Modern. And you can also play very easily in Genesys. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea into what this deck wants to do and how it wants to achieve it. I really like what it does. I think it's a really fun deck. I think the point allocation isn't that hard to adapt around. And I think the fact that we don't have, or we don't need to worry so much about the Drowned Bird running around as heavily as it did before as well is also a massive, massive help. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Let me know if there is a particular Genesys profile you want me to do for next week as well. And I'll try and keep this going as a rolling theme that you can request what Genesys profile I do for the next week. I can't guarantee that I'll always have those Genesys cards available to me, but I will try and give you a couple of options as well. Anyway, for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.